Hello, we're from the Creative Renaissance Academy, and we have created a proposal to address the Recycling Modernization Act SB 582, and my name is Andrew Breed.
My name is Jocelyn Benton.
My name is Sierra Moore.
My name is Emma Amadeus. And I'm Kimberly Ains, and this is the topics we will be covering, and I will be covering recycling. Recycling is the process of collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and turning them into new reusable products. When we recycle, we extract less, which conserves many of our natural resources such as trees, water, oil, and metals. Not only does it protect our natural resources, it prevents pollution, supports public health, and creates jobs. Many household items can be reused or donated rather than thrown away, such as glass, jugs, and paper bags. The Chasing Arrows program may seem like an obvious instruction, but the items labeled recyclable often are not. The numbers within the arrows tells you the type of plastic. Number 1 and number 2 are recyclable once the lids are removed and washed. And these are items that can be recycled, while these are ones that cannot be. Waste is managed in the Rogue Valley by a private family-owned company called Rogue Disposal and Recycling, which is located in White City, and it is the community's partner in every aspect of the waste management process. Our team had the privilege of touring the transfer station and landfill with Denise Barnes, who has been the program coordinator of the facility for over 35 years. This facility is where you can bring household and commercial trash, visit the recycling depot, and drop off your yard debris. It's also where you can properly dispose of your medical waste. They also hold an annual hazardous household item disposal in the spring. In March of 2018, there was a mandate that Rogue Disposal switched to materials actually being recycled and recovered was 35% when the goal was only 25%. So where does all this waste end up?
The majority of waste that comes to the Rogue Disposal and Recycling ends up as either compost, recycling, which is sent off-site, or waste placed into our local landfill. Let's start off basic. What is a landfill? A landfill is a specialized facility where waste is managed in an environmentally friendly and safe manner. Here in the Rogue Valley, we have one site that serves much of southern Oregon and parts of northern California. This site is owned and operated by a local family and was designed to last over 100 years. The components of a landfill are strategically complex to include 13 different materials to contain waste and prevent leakage into surrounding areas. Of course, trash isn't completely solid, meaning it has liquid parts that will eventually seep out. That liquid is leachate. Leachate runs off the bottom of the liner into pools where it can then be collected on site and piped directly to our wastewater treatment facility, which avoids any environmental contamination of surrounding waterways. Once the cell is complete, it receives a final vinyl covering and is considered closed. Pipes are laid throughout the cell, enabling the facility to still collect methane decomposition gas. Above the vinyl, the cell is covered in natural materials, sealing it forever. Compost is another key component. During our visit to the facility, Denise Barnes stated that as a rule of thumb, if it grows, it goes. This is a simple way of saying if it's green waste, such as grass clippings or branches, are removed from a person's yard, they are able to be placed in green bins for composting. This material then goes through an extensive 18-month testing period where it is turned and monitored to ensure that the right blend of nitrogen and carbon are met. The high temperatures reached by the composting on site kills off harmful bacteria and unwanted seed, which qualifies it as organic compost. The compost is then sold throughout the valley as organic fertilizer.
While compost is a great way to manage yard debris, dealing with human and animal waste is a whole other story. Liquid animal waste is stored in lagoons, ponds, or tanks, whereas solid waste can be stored in pits or storage sheds. Animal waste contains potentially harmful substances such as pathogens, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, nitrate, phosphorus, methane hormones, and antibiotics, which proper treatment and storage can help prevent from polluting the environment. Excess nutrients from runoff can lead to harmful algae blooms and even heavy metal contamination. Large amounts of untreated animal waste is linked to health issues for people nearby, such as headaches, nausea, respiratory illnesses, and higher infant mortality rates. Luckily, it can instead be used to create compost and biofuel. Sewage water contains human waste, food scraps, soaps, oils, and chemicals. Without wastewater treatment, all of our water systems would be at risk of becoming unsafe for any living creature to live in or consume. This is because substances from wastewater getting into waterways can cause dissolved oxygen depletion from eutrophication, harm to spawning grounds, and can kill aquatic life. The process used by water treatment plants starts with getting rid of large debris, then introducing air into wastewater, removing the sludge, skimming off substances that float at the top, filtering, killing bacteria, and then releasing into a body of water. This water can also be used for irrigation. Water that goes through this process is called effluent. But if thrown through a water treatment plant enough times, it can become reclaimed water, or water that is clean enough for consumption. However, even effluent can be harmful because it is associated with higher water temperatures, less dissolved oxygen, excess nutrients, and traces of organic contaminants.
Beyond what ends up in a wastewater treatment plant or a landfill, Oregonians do have the capability to remove plastic, metal, and glass from the waste stream through bottle drop programs. The bottle drop program uses the refund value of 10 cents to receive credit or cash for bottles. This recycling incentive is a great way for communities to reduce their waste while making a small profit. With the bottle drop program, you can also attach your account to your college savings plan or use the credit in participating stores. While this program has potential, it is not living up to their advertised benefit to the community. In 2020, according to the OLCC, the average beverage container return data says that only 76% of plastic, 69% of glass, and 82% of metal containers are returned. Currently, the bottle drop program is the most common way to recycle these materials, but this is also a business that makes a profit off the system with minimal regulations. The access to these statewide facilities are not easily available to lower-income neighborhoods or rural areas. While the bottle bill deals with recycling plastic bottles through the deposit recovery program, there are multiple issues with items that should be and are mandated to be recycled under the new SB 582. Corporations are responsible for producing the majority of the waste that is unable to be recycled. The EPA's recycling strategy mentions building a circular economy which focuses on industrial processes and economic activities that are restorative by design. These businesses will be tasked with addressing how the plastic will be managed at the end of their use before it's turned into a product in the first place. Providing alternatives to recycle or manage plastic packaging would be beneficial to Oregon as a whole. Charging for the unnecessary plastic could potentially lead to the use of more reusable alternatives. The incentives, like the bottle drop, could coincide with this by funding these alternatives as well with a bipartisan law. The education of correct recycling and the benefits will hopefully make these incentives more appealing to the public, resulting in a healthier economic environment.
Waste-to-energy systems are essential for maintaining or for maximizing the usages of the waste we throw out. There are many types of systems used in the U.S., and Oregon has massive potential for waste-to-energy. Converting methane emissions to renewable energy rather than releasing them to the atmosphere eliminates an often overlooked greenhouse gas whose impact is between 25 and 34 times greater than that of carbon dioxide. Rogue disposal produces 3.2 megawatts of renewable electricity. This is enough to supply power to more than 3,000 homes annually. Interestingly, this power is generated from methane. By 2023, the bulk of Rogue Disposal's recycling and trash fleet will be fully converted to run on natural gas, which reduces emissions by 20 to 30% compared to diesel. During our trip with the Nice Farms, I learned that what methane can't be used for compressed gas must be flared off, becoming another greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide. Currently, only 50% of methane is used in electricity through Pacific Power, but more electricity could be stored with a battery system upgrade. Oregon has the capability to generate over 100 megawatts, but it currently has 8 megawatts installed. Dairies have the greatest potential to generate biogas, while wastewater treatment plants generate the most. Our local companies and government have the ability to step up and be a catalyst for the entire state's transition to renewable energy. Using our waste for energy just feels good because it's a futuristic and powerful plan. And that's why we're proposing funding for the Modernization Act will be used to expand CNG resources in rogue disposal and recycling. This means we utilize more of the methane released by our local landfill for power. The steps that have more trucks overall and have them all run on CNG would be a collaboration between disposal facilities all over the Rogue Valley. This includes rogue disposal and recycling, Southern Oregon Sanitation, Pacific Power, Recology, and the Valley View Transfer Station. Expansions to the CNG fueled fleet will allow recycling access to many rural families in Southern Oregon. Education on how these facilities run and manage compost, recycling, and garbage will help people understand how they can give back to the community. Any funding from the Modernization Act that is left over after expanding the disposal fleets of Southern Oregon will be used for more regulation of the bottle drop system, because lots of the money from bottle drop doesn't end up going back to the community or isn't deposited. Overall, our management plan will expand on the truck fleets and CNG resources for the disposal stations in the Rogue Valley and expand on regulation on bottle drops outreach to rural communities. This keeps our systems clean, safe, and reliable for consumers. Any extra funding will go to the education of the public on these programs. With these changes, Southern Oregon will become a bastion for environmental conscientiousness and drive the entire state to transition to renewable energy. Thanks for listening.